Some teas, like green tea, you want to drink when they're as fresh as possible. But of the hundreds of teas that I sip, drink, taste, try throughout the year, there are some staples, some cozy teas that make you feel at home regardless of the weather, the temperature, the season, or the company that you're drinking it with. Today we're going to talk about 3 of them. One of them has actually been a cozy tea for me for the last 5 years. Actually, it's the tea that helped show me that a tea can help to mellow you out. Now, when you start diving down the rabbit hole of teas, at some point where you try every single tea type, white teas, green teas, oolongs, black, red, sheng, sho, or other types of dark teas, you've probably had a feeling at some point that every tea within that type tastes the same. So like all green teas taste the same, all sheng pu'er taste the same, all sho pu'er taste the same. Now, I still feel that way about red teas and sho or cooked pu'ers for the most part. I actually even bought this tea off of Paul's challenge for that very reason. Now here's the thing, because I know I'm at that stage with red teas and sho pu'er teas, I know I'm not there yet. My brain hasn't had enough taste to get the muscle memory for the different flavors and sensations. And because of that, normally I'm not the biggest fan of sho pu'er. I feel like it all kind of tastes the same, whether it's a $10 tea per cake or a $100 cake. They taste very similar to me. Now, if you've never had a cooked pu'er, it can be a bit polarizing in that, like, if you really like coffee, like the coffee converts, a lot of them come over to tea through sho pu'er. And for others who maybe don't really like sho pu'er the first time they try it, it just kind of tastes like rainforest floor. That's actually why at Tao Teaware we named our sho pu'er Guilty Grub. It's like the food that a beetle would munch on, like theoretically. I've never tasted damp, decaying wood. Anyway, if wet, woodsy flavor sounds good to you, most sho pu'ers will probably fit this cozy category. And there's a lot of them that you can find for less than $20, $30, $50 per cake. But Lumberslut hits different. And I'm not talking about the obnoxious name, although I'm sure that it helps with marketing. When this tea was shared with me, it was with a bunch of different sho pu'ers. And it was actually because of what I just said that I didn't really know what different sho pu'ers tasted like, or I felt like a lot of them tasted the same. And so I was given a bunch of different ones and I was tasting them side by side by side, horizontal tasting. All sho pu'ers, trying to find out what the differences were. And steep after steep, I felt like they were pretty much all tasting the same, except the Lumberslut. Now at the time I was drinking the 2021, but it quickly became my wife's favorite staple tea, and so now I have 5 years of it. But all 5 years of this tea have the same thing, this funky sweetness. It just has that little bit of funk that makes it interesting, this wet, woodsy, dank funk. I'm really not doing it justice here, but if this one does sound good to you, I would go on WhiteTea's website and grab the oldest one that you can get. I think the 2020 or the 2021 is the oldest one you can still get on the website. They already have this nice bit of medicinal thickness to them. Speaking of which, while we're talking about these old teas, let's find a hill to die on here. Don't buy fresh teas. At least don't buy fresh teas to drink them the year that they came out. If a tea company has several years of a white tea or a pu'er on their website, don't buy the latest one with the intention of drinking it. Yes, tea prices go up slightly year to year, but it's not enough to counteract the natural aging that nothing but time can do. Just spoil yourself a little. Get the 5-year-old one. Okay, I'm done. Not with the video, just with my soapbox. Last thing about the Lumberslut, Justin, thanks, man. If we didn't do that swap, this would be my 3rd year without finding a sho pu'er to get excited about, so I appreciate it. Also, Justin mentioned the 3 groups that he breaks sho pu'er down into, woodsy, milky, and creamy. We'll have to talk about that in another video, but I am interested to dig into that a little deeper too. Number 2, the second tea. Do you ever know something, but you don't know the why to that thing? Let me explain. So I have this old tea in my collection. I know it's an early 2010s tea, but when I got it, it was basically just Derek didn't like it anymore, and he gave it to me. Very fortunate. But at first, I just knew that it was old. And I thought, well, maybe I just only like old pu'er teas because they're more mild. And then I found out that it was a Huang Pian tea, those bigger leaves, right? Not the spring leaves that you're getting. And then I thought, well, maybe I just don't like spring pu'ers because they're too punchy. Now in retrospect, that really doesn't make any sense at all because spring tea is just better quality tea. But getting into the actual why I knew and I thought that this tea was different was actually because it was from Yiwu. But it wasn't until after drinking other teas from that same region that I realized, oh, It's the location. These Yiwu pu'ers are much more gentle than, say, a Bangdong or a Bulong tea. But why are we talking about that cake in my collection? It's not one that we're gonna be able to find again. Because of the Yiwu connection. The year of the Zodiac teas from Bitterleaf are Yiwu teas, all from the same farm for the last 8 or 9 years. It's a pleasant, gentle, fresh pu'er. The younger ones in this series are more vegetal, like asparagus. The older ones taste more stone fruit-esque. If you wanna hear more of my thoughts on that, I did a full review on the newest one right here. Now, with these Yiwu teas, I knew from the first sip that I liked them, but I didn't really start to appreciate the differences and the nuances of the years until I started tasting through each of them, basically, which we would call vertical tasting. Now, I've mentioned both horizontal and vertical tasting, so we probably should talk about each of them a little bit more. So horizontal tastings are when you're trying a bunch of different teas side by side. It could be the same type of tea, for example, like when I was talking about the show pu'ers, but they're all from maybe different years or different vendors or different companies, so they're not exactly the same. Or it could be trying a show pu'er next to an oolong, a Taiwanese oolong versus a rock oolong, right, where they're not even the same tea type at all. Vertical tastings are more simple. There's really only one thing that a vertical tasting is: tasting the same tea from year to year to year to year. So you need either the same producer or the same vendor getting it from the same producer in order to do vertical tastings. For me personally, I use horizontal tastings to figure out which teas I like or I'm interested in pursuing. So like with the show pu'ers, I put them all side by side. And I may not like all of the teas in a horizontal tasting. In fact, that's not really the goal at all, to like all of them. It's to find a string to pull on, something to follow, something to take down and go learn. One word of caution when doing horizontal tastings though. I've seen other people or heard other people doing this, and I definitely did this before as well. And that's getting a bunch of different tea balls, like going on a company's website and getting 5 or 10 tea balls and trying to do horizontal tastings with them. One tea ball, one session is not going to be enough for your brain to tell you if you like it and to really internalize all the flavors and sensations, especially if you're doing multiple of them at the same time. And I think there's also a good reason to buy teas that you don't like, which I'm definitely gonna do a video about soon. But if I'm saying you shouldn't buy tea balls, then what should you buy instead? I think 3, 4, 5 different teas that you can get at least 100 grams of. Again, I would even skip the 25 gram samples that a lot of companies offer. Even 3 to 5 sessions is not really enough time for your brain to internalize a completely new flavor. So get a good portion of a few different teas, not a shoebox of tea balls. Now, back to the vertical tasting. Same tea, different years. I feel like I don't know how to convey it through the video, but I really can't understate how important it is for your and my tea learning experience to be able to have the opportunity to do vertical tastings. Most information that we get regarding tea is from vendors and from people who are directly speaking Chinese. Now, yes, I speak Chinese, but I'm not on the tea mountains with Derek when he's getting the tea. There's still this component of getting primary information, and most of us who are drinking tea, you're not getting primary information. And a lot of times you're getting secondary or tertiary information from a vendor or just people who've been drinking tea. So vertical tastings are the best way to make you a better taster. If you know that the tea is from the same region and it's the same tea year to year to year, you can start to taste what that tea is supposed to taste like through the years and how it changes and evolves with age. And you will learn so much more than if you were just drinking one tea at a time. Sorry, I get super passionate about like the not ordering samples and trying your own teas. I think it's really important for having your own understanding of what you think teas taste like and developing your palate for tasting. So back to our year of for the Yiwu tea and the recommendation. Same recommendation to start as with the Lumber Slut. Get the oldest one you can find on Bitterleaf's website, which right now is the 2021, which is the year of the bull. The difference between this and the Lumber Slut though is with this one, I would say also get the youngest tea that you can. So if you get it right now, it's the year of the dragon, or if you wait a few months, it'll be the year of the snake when that comes out. And the reason is they're so different that I would argue it's beneficial to have the young tea to compare to the old tea and see how the flavor and sensations change and progress, not just the old tea, which again, arguably is better, but there's a lot of character in the young teas for these as well. Now the last one, the third and final tea that I could drink any day of the year. This is the one that I've been drinking for at least 4 years, 5 years. The taste of this tea reminds me of camping, like being up in a mountain, camping, like up in New York, around a warm fire and just drinking something. Like that's what this tea reminds me of. It's called Shomei, and it's the lowest picking grade of tea in Fuding, a city in Fujian province in China. And it was actually the first tea that we carried with Tao Teaware, my teaware company, because I love it so much. And even though we do sell this sweet sipping cake and other teas as well, we have 5 of them available right now, our main thing is teaware. So all of the pots that you've seen in this video, they're also available on our website if you wanna go check them out. I like them, we sell them. Check them out if you like them too. But the funny thing about this Shomei is it's almost the opposite of my personality. Like, I don't know if you can tell coming through the video that I am very type A and outgoing, but I am. And a little bit crazy, not like very crazy, but a little bit crazy. But this tea, it helps to mellow me out. Like sometimes it just makes me drop my shoulders or just an exhale after I take a sip of it. Also another weird thing, I like smelling the clay in the cups after the Shomei's in it because the aroma is not super strong, but it warms up the cup and you can smell the clay. It's just a very subtle, enjoyable tea. I can drink it rain or shine, hot or cold, all the time. Even actually some of my other favorite teas, I can't drink. Like I get in these weird states where I don't know if I haven't eaten enough or if I've had too much caffeine or not enough caffeine and my stomach hurts or I get a headache. And some of my other favorite teas, like a fresh pu'er or a Phoenix oolong, they just make it worse. And there's no other non-herbal tea, right? Any tea that has caffeine in it, there's no other tea that has caffeine in it besides Shomei that doesn't mess with me when I'm in those states. But as much as I just said, and as much as I just talked it up, it is a subtle tea. No pun intended. It's a tea that's simple to brew. It's hard to oversteep. It tastes great in a thermos or brewed gongfu style. But when I have an intense day of work and I'm not really paying attention to it, it kind of just tastes like warm water. But when I am paying attention, it's sweet, it's juicy, and the one that we're carrying right now with Tao Teaware, the sweet sipping, is still really young and really green, so still pretty vegetal. But Shomei in general has this woodsy characteristic, not like dank rainforest woodsy, kind of like high mountain dry, like I said, like around a campfire kind of woodsy feel to it. And if you're not sure what I mean by that with the green and being vegetal, Derek actually does a great job on an episode of Tea Soup where he talks about green versus brown Shomei and the aging process and why green Shomei is better for aging. And we were both skeptical about it at first too, but if you check it out, he explains it pretty well and gives a couple examples in that episode of Tea Soup. But compared to white teas that are flavored, have fruit in them, or from Yunnan, these are gonna be very subtle. It's gonna be more gentle, but that's why I like it. It's a good contrast for me and my personality. Even the well-processed green Shomei is cheap. Actually, the best part of all 3 of these teas being cozy is the fact that they're all cheap. They're all less than 20 cents per gram, easily under the 30 cents per gram that I would say for value tea cost. And these teas are overperformers. Like if you've never had a tea cake before and you try these, they're gonna be delicious. But if you've been drinking teas for a very long time, they're still gonna be pleasurable to drink. And again, good for any day, any time, no matter what the weather or how you're feeling. All right, it's time for me to go drink more tea.